Hey everyone, I want to talk about Trung's response to the evidence that I presented about potential wrongdoing by Sky Mavis employees. Trung has been very silent on Twitter and on social media in recent times. However, with this article dropping, he wanted to address it to the community directly. The first thing he says here is that when the founding team discovered the breach, they worked closely with Binance to discuss closing the bridge and providing resources for liquidity to be able to restore people's funds as soon as possible. Now, the first thing I want to note from this is when I first reached out to Sky Mavis, the statement I heard was that only the founding team knew about the bridge hack before it was announced. Now it comes out that apparently people within Binance also knew about the bridge hack before it was announced. It's definitely very interesting of how that story has evolved and changed as more evidence comes out to the contrary. Now, it does look like he removed the tweet from this thread, so I'm not really sure what was said there. He then goes on to say that the founding team chose to transfer the value from his wallet to ensure that short sellers who track the official Axie wallet would not be able to front run the news. Now, while I think that definitely could be a valid reason, I think it's also important to note that Sky Mavis could have all got on a phone, they could have got on a call, set up the transfer, got it all ready to go from everyone's wallet at the same time. This means that they could have coordinated and been able to shut down the bridge within about 2 minutes and make the announcement. Now, this really would not give the opportunity to short sellers to short sell. However, maybe a couple got through, so I'll give them that. He then goes on to say that the story includes speculation of insider trading. These accusations are baseless and false, as he says. I find that very interesting because these baseless accusations have a 45-page document of evidence with 15 pages or over 15 pages of supporting evidence backing that up. So those baseless accusations, that's definitely an interesting claim, especially since Sky Mavis's claim is entirely baseless as of now, as they have yet to provide any supporting evidence for what they claim. He continues on to say, in fact, the founding team even deposited $7.5 million from a known Axie multi-sig wallet to the Ronin network prior to closing the bridge to avoid triggering any short sellers. Now, I'd ask you to take a second and think, what do you think of when that statement comes out? Do you think that they went ahead and they sent an extra 7.5 million out of the blue to try and maybe stir up confidence? What does that mean to you? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, what I find very interesting about this statement is in both the public statement and the private statement that was made regarding this transaction, they failed to mention what that $7.5 million was actually used for. Now, in private, they ended up sending a link to this transaction. This was the bob.axieinfinity.eth wallet sending 117,677 AXS to the Ronin network, a very specific amount, which kind of bites them in the butt here when they're trying to use this as an excuse. The reason for that is when we actually look back at previous Substack articles, it just happens to be that for season 20 rewards, the amount of AXS given out was 117,676. That's one AXS off from what they sent. So I personally believe they're trying to be a little bit deceptive here and imply something that's just not true. This AXS was already intended to be used. They already had a commitment to use this AXS for season rewards. I'm not sure how bringing up the fact that you transferred money in for season rewards is somehow adding to the credibility of their story. I am glad to see that in his next statement here, he does say that he takes ownership for the security breach and they're going to use that as a learning experience. And hopefully they do learn from it and improve. He then goes on to talk about how proud he is about the community, all the work they've done, the community's trust and support. And then the next statement after that is another interesting one to me. One of the best parts of blockchain technology is the transparency that comes with it. And I find this very interesting because these baseless claims that he's talking about, because of the blockchain, I was able to get 15 pages, as you can see, of links to different blockchain transactions, Etherscan, the Ronin Explorer, Twitter, all kinds of different things, Marketplace on Axie Infinity, all kinds of things that provided supporting evidence thanks to the blockchain that actually counters their statement. And again, these baseless claims have over 15 pages of links and supporting evidence that you guys can check out. I'll have that linked in the description down below. At the end of the day, I hope Trung not only puts his money in Binance, but also puts his money where his mouth is and comes out with some supporting evidence. Sky Mavis wanted to defend their claim, and this was a true statement, which is entirely possible, to be clear here. If they wanted to prove that, though, it would be fairly simple. We only need a couple things. We need evidence of the Binance side of the company wallet showing the money going into there. We need a copy of the email or wherever the discussion happened between Binance and them, letting them know where they need to send the money to, so then Binance will provide liquidity. We also need a copy of the private conversations that occurred, again, between the founding team agreeing to use this wallet of Trung's and none of the other wallets. Now, the fourth and final thing that's really important for us to have is a clear understanding of what was the agreement between the founders as to how Trung would be reimbursed. Does Trung just lose out on $3 million that he basically sacrificed for the community? It's possible. Does he get reimbursed the same number of AXS tokens that he put in? It's also possible, and that would mean that he had no real financial gain from doing this. Is he reimbursed the dollar value of the AXS tokens he put in? That could be a potential issue because, of course, AXS has dropped almost 75% since the hack happened. So hopefully Sky Mavis will come out, clear the air, and provide these 4 pieces of evidence that really would take them, what, 2 or 3 hours to get screenshots? It's not a long process. I really do hope that they come out and provide the evidence, because then I would believe their story. And I would just say, I believe they made poor business decisions by leaving over $150 million of tokens on the table during a hack, a doomsday scenario where they did not have $600 million to refund. There was no guarantee of them raising another $150 million. Now, maybe they thought it was very likely, but again, if you're all hands on deck, you're this desperate where you're taking the CEO's money, I'd expect you to access those other sources of capital. If they didn't, I personally see that as a business failure. If you guys want to learn more about the evidence that I presented and why I find some of these things very questionable, check out the video linked up here.